It's really nice to meet you. My name is Theodora, and I am project manager of B2B Industry Days DOK, which is the documentary market of Biografilm, our festival that takes place in Bologna, Italy in June. And we are very happy to be the new entry in the DOK Around Europe network. And we wanted to celebrate this occasion with you and with Francesca Sofia Allegra, who is a longtime friend of our festival and is here with us today to share some insights about writing and editing in documentary filmmaking. Just a quick technical information. We ask you to please keep muted your microphones and wait for the questions and raise your hand or write in the chat. And thank you again, Francesca, for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you.
The virtual floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to Biografilm and DOK Around Europe for inviting me. And thank you all for being here. And I must say, I'm truly happy that you have decided to take part to this masterclass, especially because the majority of you already have impressive careers. And so at the beginning, I was kind of a bit intimidated to host this conversation. I never attended a film school. And as you can imagine, my work is hidden, invisible, and often those of us who choose it is because we don't like to be in the center of attention. And but then I realized that one of the best experience I ever had in my life was to participate to Berlinale Talent, which is all about sharing. And so I've decided that this shouldn't be a kind of academic masterclass, but rather a sharing of my experience and my method told through the last film I've edited. So I hope that you all know what editing is. If you ask to an AI what editing is, the AI says that film editing is the process of selecting, arranging, and assembling shot to create a cohesive and engaging story, which is, of course, the easiest way to say it. One more detailed way to say is that editing is writing or rewriting. But for me, editing is writing with gut feeling and rational thinking. So it's not just about storytelling, but there is an instinctive part there is an instinctive part and a rational part that are together, that live together. When I was younger, I wanted to be a writer, and in the film industry, the common English word for documentary is unscripted. This means that, of course, there's no script. So there is a treatment, there is a synopsis, but is the editor the one who writes the screenplay? So being an editor is exactly the same as being a writer. Unlike scripted film, the story in a documentary can change completely in the cutting room. You might start with one idea, but navigated into the footage, a new and more powerful story can emerge. So this is because, and mainly because you work with an hours of footage, like a lot of hours of footage with real life. And the minimum footage I worked with for a future documentary was 60 hours, 60 hours for a future film of 75 minutes. So this is my opinion, of course, but this is why it's ridiculous for me that documentary editors are less considered than scripted ones, because we write from scratch. And so we are, let's say, definitely more skilled than someone in storytelling, I'd say, than someone who starts from a script. But this is of course, my opinion. I never seen a documentary editor nominated for an Oscar, honestly. a person who is just a documentary editor. So editing for me is where, you know, and the cutting room is where like the kind of the magic of the documentary can really happen. You can work with a multitude of material, not only interviews and archive, but also animation, special effects, with sound and music, but also with the real life that is unfolding before your eyes. So, going to the question that brings us here, can we write a reality? The case history I'm bringing to your attention is what is called an observational documentary. I think that you all know what is an observational documentary. Basically, it's where there are not interviews and you just follow the characters in the present tense, let's say. But it's also an hybrid because we use different material with different meanings. So everything that I will say in this context is my personal opinion. I can't, and no one can give strict rules about how to edit, right? So I won't start from this question, that is, can we write reality? And the answer, I think, is clear, and is yes, we can write through editing. But the question is not that if we can write reality. The question is how we write reality. And the how generates many, many other questions. And the interesting part for me to say is that the answering of these questions is very subjective. Different editors ask different questions, and different editors have different methods. So this is so there's not just a way. And I think that no one, a director or a producer, has the right to impose to an editor which method they should use to do their job. For instance, it's happened all the time that in the independent world, they don't want me to use Avid because the directors want to have the control on on with Premiere or DaVinci, they want to have the control. This means that I'm slower with a software that is not my pen, right? It's like that you are telling a writer the pen or the color they should use to write. So this is one thing. It's happened, of course, can happen. I can adapt, but it's a beginning of a a relationship that is not starting on the same level. And in the independent world, the same level is very important because you need to trust your team. There are not a lot of money. You need to trust the people you work with. And so you need that the people around you are confident they have the willing to help you, right? So we can be professional and respect deadlines if we are ourselves and we follow our, let's say, our own method of working. And our method is connected to the way that we function best. This means that how I can be the most useful, sensitive, and productive editor in creating a film that works for the director, for the producer, but also for myself, of course. Here I Am. So Here I Am is an independent documentary directed by Mark Francis and produced by Speak It. And it's a film that explores grief, love, death, and rebirth. I think that it's this is a very interesting but common case history in an indie documentary world, because the director is the producer, the cinematographer, and he knows how to edit. The film was shot between 2016 and 2018, the year in which the protagonist passed away. Mark basically filmed alone for over 1 year, traveling from Brighton to New York. Once the filming was completed, he began working on it, and with a friend who is also an editor, luckily an avid editor, they started assembling the footage, dividing the film in 249 scenes. a total of 10 hours of assembly. So basically, they took the rushes, they created the scene, and they put this scene one after the other and created these 10 hours of assembly. So he wanted an editor who was a stranger for him with new eyes and new energies. So he posted an ad on Talent Manager and was the job of my dream. Let's say like avid, rough cut, alone, and excellent storytelling skills. I had to travel to Brighton, which was in summertime, so I had the beach. I live in London, so like having the beach in summer is another plus, and was kind of the job of my dream. I just experienced the burnout, but this, of course, is another story. And after 5 months of being completely unable to turn on the computer, I had run out of money, of course, and I was searching for the right project. So, despite receiving a lot of offers from Italy, I felt that my first film, post burnout, needed to be a true restart. So, with people that are not connected with my usual people, even UK one. So, about 400 people applied to this job, for this job. And I don't know exactly what led Mark to choose me. I think that we both wanted a balanced life and avoid obsessive work habits. But I'm also certain that we were kind of drawn together into our mutual desire to do a good job without too many commissioners, too many restrictions, even if it meant to have less money. So working hard, but working well. So when he called me and when he sent me an email to tell me that I was selected, I was chosen, he was very excited to start. I was very happy. However, despite that, I didn't completely sacrifice my personal life because I've done this countless times before. So I set certain conditions. So I establish boundaries, impose to him my method, and one of like not impose, but like ask him to follow my method. And part of my method is that I want to watch everything. I don't trust editors that don't watch everything. But not because the director are not good in selecting, because the director already have in mind the story they want to tell. So the editor job is also to give another angle, like another story, propose another angle to the story that they have in mind. So for me, it's crucial to watch everything. So the 10 hours of assembly were good, but because I was not supervising and I was starting from scratch, I really needed to watch everything. And when you work in documentary, having transcripts of the footage is essential. You can now with Premiere, with Avid, I think the majority of the software, they have an embedded AI transcript software or a tool. Or you can use an external software and then import them directly to the editing software. I mean, nowadays it's much easier, even with a low budget film, because like English is 80%, more than 80% accurate with the translation. Having the transcript is it's important, and also having the logs, which is the everything that they shot in a list. And I need, which is the most hard part for directors, I need this time alone to connect. It's not 2 weeks, but like time. First, sorry, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would have one. I would like to know what kind of boundaries you set. You just set boundaries.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah, you know what's personal and what not.
No. The boundaries are for me now also, like for every project after the burnout. The boundaries are: I work at the beginning the time I want and the time I need, which is I need this 4 to 6 weeks by myself. So you don't have to see how many hours I work, what I do. It's not important. Then from weeks 4, like 5 or 7, like in that moment when we started the editing together, it's a curve. Can't be every day 12 hours from day, 1 of editing together, or 14, 16 hours. So it's like we have 10 hours a day. Everything that is extra, right, is because both of us want to stay that 18 hours together. That the weekend doesn't exist. I don't want to work on the weekend if I don't have to, and it's my choice to say I want to work on the weekend. In this film happened a lot of time because Mark has 3 kids. For he is like easy. I have the weekend, I don't work, right? But sometimes I felt that I needed to work during the weekend to to be more prepared for the week. So it's for me, the boundaries is who you are, you know what you need, just speak what you need and what you want. And this changed completely for me after 15 years of this obsession to be the carer, to be present, to be changed completely also the way I relate to the project, because it's not my obsession, it's something that I'm creating in team with another person. So this is like the working hours and the weekend are fundamental, and the fact that it's a curve. So you can't start like from day one working 14 hours a day. It's not working, because in 2 months you will have the burnout, and you won't recognize the burnout until it's very until you had the burnout for 4 times. I know it's a bit like this. So it's a process of trust, which is essential. Mark trusted the process. And I clearly remember that he told me, you know what to do, you drive now, I'm in the back seat, which was the most, which is every time the most important, like when you feel that you are doing your job in a way that is good for the director, which is, and for the film itself. So we started from 200 scenes, and we have a rough cut of 2 hours and 30 minutes. So every week we started, removing time, and then and we keep removing a lot of stuff that we really loved, but was just for the good of the film. Removing also means rewriting the structure, because sometimes a scene is a bridge between 2 scenes, and without that scene, the 2 scenes together doesn't make any sense. No, so it's like to rewrite the structure. So you start killing your darlings, which is, of course, one of the hardest part in the rewriting process, right? There are so many things we had to cut that we truly loved. And I think that this is a very important point, that editors do fall in love with their own gems, with the discoveries. There is an excitement when you find something incredible and you spend 2 weeks to try to make it work. And then after months, you have to remove it. There is a scene that is not in the film anymore that we kept moving like 20 times. And then we decided if we keep moving it, we need to remove it, because there's no space in this film for this scene, right? So the last 2 weeks of editing, we changed a ton of things. We went to version 6 to 16 in 2 weeks. So basically we had version 1 to 6 in 16 weeks, but from 6 to 16 in 2 weeks. And this was crazy, but was in a way part of the process, and it's also therapeutic, no? Because in the you see, the only way you can delete what you love is knowing what you really have and you really want to tell. So you keep writing until the very ending. But it's also at this point like sculpting. It's not just writing. It's like setting it down to really get the core of the themes that really speak to the journey of the film that you want to do, no? It's like that every project, in a way, is a piece of sculpting material that is unknown. So it's not ceramic, it's not bronze, marble, clay. And there's not just a way to work with it, no? So you can work better if you know the material the film is made of. So all the research, the writing done at the beginning helped us to get to know the material. And at the end is more like a puzzle, because you remove and then you put the last 50 pieces, which are the easiest, no? The first 90% of making a puzzle is, takes ages, but the last 50 pieces are super quick. So I mean, even the very last day of work, the last 3 hours, I completely re-edit a scene because I wasn't sure about one scene from day one. And but it's important. We need to keep it. We need to keep it. So let's find a way to do this. And I literally have done this scene in the last 3 hours of editing of this film, and it worked. But I also think that an extra day can ruin the film. That moment was right for that, to re-edit that scene. So how can you really understand what to remove and rewrite in the last weeks, which is, the hardest part? What saved us was the fact that I had to take a week off for personal reason. Not here. Here, this is Vietnam, but I had to go home to my parents for personal reason. So the 3 weeks before the lock. So we decided to put the film on hold and avoid obsession of deadlines. And was the best choice we ever made, because when you step away for a minute and then you come back, your mind is clear. Understanding how to improve the film is something that you can really do when you distance yourself from it. To detach, and to detach, you need some time off. When you are at the end, instead of continuing working 24/7, you should take 5 days off, a week off. I had to leave the family for an emergency, so I didn't watch the film for a week. And I also asked Mark to do the same. But when we came back, I watched it again, and we were so connected to the things that we had to do. Before leaving, we were like, oh my God, what we have to do, too many things. I don't know if it's working, if it's not working. So we were panicking about it's still too long, how we shape it. So having that time, I'm convinced this helped us to improve the film, because we had been working on it every day for 5 months, completely immersed in that loop. So it's, as I said before, no, the curve of work started slow and then accelerated so fast that if you don't slow down, you will explode. So you need to stop and reset. And this is common I am sure that each one of you have experienced, like as a filmmaker or director or editor, or like in each role you work on. It's something that if you don't stop, you can't reset. So when we can, now not watching for a week completely changed our connection with the film. So I am almost done. I want to just say the final things about when you can't write reality, which is, I think, a very important question, because first of all, can we, as a documentary filmmaker, manipulate the reality for a better film? This is the first thing. So it's an ethical question. And each one of us needs to have this personal check every time we edit. So it's when we are in the cutting room. So another important thing is like making sure that you're not using this story in documentary to just write something that you want to prove. No, it's like it's your film. It's not. So this is also an ethical question. And then, of course, there is the AI that I just mentioned. So this is a very big thing. So the ethical questions are the first questions of when you can't write reality. And of course, the second important thing is the budget. So I know the constant line is we don't have enough budget. There's no budget. Blah, blah, blah. So when you don't have budget, you don't make the film you want. Okay. And then there is another important thing that is the archive. A lot of documentaries are archive based, and it's very common that producers and director underestimate the value, economical value of of archive. They keep saying, you now use it, and then we'll see. This can be a nightmare. This can be a big problem. I have edited, I don't know, a lot of archive-based documentary with interviews, and if you don't budget that archive, you will make a terrible film, or not that film at all. When you don't budget everything, you don't make the documentary that you want, and you stress the people that work around you, and you stress yourself. So this is, and then of course, taking time for yourself is a very important and key thing. All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Teodora, if you want to share my contacts to these people, feel free to do it. And yeah, that's it. I hope it was nice, at least.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you.